What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the afternoon show here on Roto Grinders. It is afternoon everywhere in the United States, unless you're out in Alaska or Hawaii. Anyway, I'm talking too much. Welcome back. We did a show a little while ago, maybe just a few hours ago, with TJ, and we're here to run it back. TJ mainly talking the same stuff we already talked about for DraftKings, but with the slates being a little different today, we're going to talk Fanduel for maybe the first half an hour of the show. And then for maybe the last 15 minutes, we're actually going to talk the DraftKings night slate. There is no later show for DraftKings for the 5-game slate. We're going to try to talk about it, give you some Spidey bombs, some picks, some bets for that. Basically all in this show. TJ, how was your little 2-hour break there?
Yeah, it was a pretty good 2-hour break. Just did some research for the night slates, played a little MLB The Show, and then ready to break this down and get into it. And then, of course, take the dog to that adoption event and enjoy the rest of the day.
Baseball. So research and MLB The Show. Can you glean? Is there anything from playing MLB The Show that you can relate to DFS? Is there any sort of direct translation? I stopped playing video games like 5 years ago, basically. So I'm out of the loop. How good are the games now?
It's a lot of fun. I'd say the biggest thing that translates is name pronunciation. You just hear so many of the names all the time, and so that translates. But that would be the biggest thing, and really probably only thing.
So if you're pronouncing a name differently than me, I should just default to your pronunciation, is what you're saying.
No, I still get it wrong. I'm so bad with names that I still get it wrong. I'm better than I would be if I hadn't been playing all the time, but I'm still not that good.
All right. Let's get into this. I want to remind everybody, Spidey bombs. We had some earlier. Can we play any of the earlier Spidey bombs for right now? How about we give those for free, and then we'll get some likes for some of the other ones. So let's run through the Spidey bombs that were already out for this slate, and then if you guys get up to 50 likes, we'll get a couple more for you.
Sounds good. And so the only one we still got going, and that one starts at 4:05. It's Ryan Mountcastle going up against Heaney. I love taking Mountcastle anytime he's facing a left-handed pitcher. And so, yeah, he is the guy today.
I did just place a small wager on the Orioles money line on that one. So if Mountcastle hits the home run, that will also help me. I did follow you into the Mountcastle home run from the earlier show. Again, guys, we're at 23 likes. Let's get up to how many Spidey bombs you got in the cooker today?
We got lots ready in the bag, but because it's a weird time, we, of course, may not have many viewers right off the bat. So let's just say for the first one, I want 40. Give me 40 likes for the first Spidey bomb.
All right, we're at 25 right now, so it shouldn't be too hard for you guys to get there. All right, we're going to recap. We already talked about this a couple hours ago, but let's go over starting pitching now on Fanduel. So the prices are changed up a little bit. They're reasonably similar, but there's just a whole long list of guys, within like 2 or 3K of each other on Fanduel today. I'm all in on Framber Valdez today. That was my stand a few hours ago. It is still my stand today. The bat is against me. The bat wants Castillo. I've overridden the bat today. Sometimes that works out for me. Sometimes it doesn't. Mr. Cardi puts out a very nice projection system, but I've manually overridden that. I have Framber as my top pitcher. Castillo's definitely number 2. And then after that, it's sort of a take your pick of who you want. I think Webb's probably a little too high priced at 11K. That'll keep his ownership down, as you can see from the projections. Kershaw is definitely overpriced going up against Tampa Bay. I actually have a bet on the Tampa Bay Rays money line as well. And then there's a couple other guys you can throw in there. Are you still on Valdez over Castillo? Has anything changed your mind on that, TJ? That was your take earlier. I would imagine it's still the same now.
I am still on Valdez over Castillo, but I am more interested in taking a shot on somebody like Corbin Burns over here, facing a high strikeout lineup like San Fran, and it's just a very noticeable discount. 800 down from Valdez to Castillo. It's not that much. I can find 800 throughout my lineup to get that bump up. But at the extra 1,200 down to Corbin Burns all the way at 9,600, you can, with the soft hitters pricing on FanDuel, you can almost do whatever you want with your lineup if you go with Corbin Burns instead. So I actually don't hate the idea of rolling with Burns over both of them today.
That's interesting. From a tournament perspective, any of these other pitchers, the guys we were on earlier, maybe you could mix in a Charlie Morton, a Wheeler. Heaney has the ability to pitch well against Baltimore. I'm not on Creamer at all. I sort of like the Texas bats in that game as well.
No Kramer for you? Are you just like a sugar in your coffee guy, or you go black?
Yeah, no Creamer. I don't know. What else are we looking at from a Turner perspective? It's with one pitcher, you don't have to go as deep as you do on FanDuel. What about like Logan Webb against Milwaukee? It's a great matchup, high price tag though. I mean, I said it earlier, I'm playing Valdez 95 out of 100 times over Logan Webb, even though I've been on Webb a lot of the times this season.
I'm thinking even if like running 150 lineups over on FanDuel, I can't imagine getting more than like, I think maybe Morton, Webb, and Wheeler would be in my pool. But I wouldn't get more than like 5, maximum 10% of each of them. And all the rest of my lineups would be featuring Valdez, Burns, and Castillo. I think I'd try and get up to Valdez in cash, but in tournaments, and if I was doing a single entry, my guy would be Corbin Burns. And then if I was running a 150 max setting, I'd probably go like 40% Burns, 30% Valdez, 15 to 20% Castillo, and sprinkling in the rest of Morton, Webb, and Wheeler.
All right, so we're at 37. A few more likes, we'll get up to the Spidey bomb. So get those in, guys. As far as offense goes on this slate, right, we've got Houston, and the Houston prices on FanDuel are all outside of Jordan Alvarez. Everybody is pretty attainable, even if you play Framber Valdez, the highest price pitcher today. How are you handling them? And then what else are you looking at for offense, basically as a whole on the slate?
Yeah, so Houston is definitely my favorite offense on the slate. Kyle Tucker at 3,300. Only coming, like, he's not coming even in that highly owned. To me, that is undoubtedly the best bat on the slate. Alvarez, of course, is at 4,500, but that $1,200 discount, like, if you can only afford one of these guys, get Tucker in there because that's so cheap. And then when you look at Bregman, like, this is obviously going to be the chalkier build, but considering Houston is the top offense and we both like Valdez, and maybe it won't be the chalky build, right? Because more people are playing Burns and Castillo than they are Valdez on FanDuel. So if you want to play him, you can actually still get a Houston stack with that 11-6 pitcher, that most expensive pitcher. You put in Tucker, Altuve, and Bregman, who are nice and cheap. They are chalky, but they're nice and cheap. And then you throw in another one of these guys like a Corey Julks or a Chas McCormick, something like that. Or you try and get up to Jordan Alvarez and then just go super cheap for your secondary stack. It's viable today. These Houston guys are so affordable that they're without a doubt the team I'm looking to get to the most. And you compare them to some of these other teams on the slate, like, they're not actually that chalky. They're going relatively about the same as some of these Houston guys, some of these Washington guys and some of these Kansas City guys. Pretty relatively, and even Seattle is not that much lower owned than a team like Houston. So they aren't that aggressive chalk, but to me, they are by far the top team on the slate. So they're the one I'm looking to stack the most. And then from like a tournament perspective, to get kind of different, I think my two favorite teams would be Texas and Baltimore.
Yeah, I like that Texas-Baltimore game. Maybe I should bet the over in that one if I like both offenses. Maybe I'll throw that in as a bet while we're on the show. But TJ, good news. We have 41 likes. That means Spidey Bomb number 1 is in the queue. What do we got?
So like I mentioned, this slate itself, I'm not a super fan of the various home run odds. Like Kyle Tucker at plus 420 on FanDuel. Yeah, I love that. I think you should go bet that. But that's also a very obvious play for this slate. And so it doesn't really warrant a Spidey Bomb. And so I am going to the later DraftKings slate or the FanDuel late slate, even, which we're going to talk about later. And this is my favorite home run bet of the entire day. Actually, so you know what? No, let's go first Spidey Bomb here. It's Corey Seager. That one disappeared for you earlier, but I bet that's probably back up now. This is a game
470. I did get it.
Yeah, that hasn't started yet. You can still get it for $450 on our sponsor FanDuel, $460 on Caesars. Spidey Bomb number 1 is Corey Seager. And then I'll start going. And then, of course, we have Ryan Mountcastle in that same game from the previous show. As soon as we get up to 60 likes, I got a nice Spidey bum for the evening slate as well.
All right, I'm going to go start position by position. We'll sort of walk through, at least on FanDuel, my thoughts from a cash game and get some TJ thoughts from tournaments, and then we'll talk the DraftKings slate towards the end here. Again, 60 likes, we'll get another Spidey bomb. The catcher position, you've got, I guess, catcher / first base. So there's, I'm going to combine these into two on FanDuel because this is really a FanDuel-centric show. You've got Sal Perez if you're looking for a catcher. You've got that's probably the guy I'd most likely be looking to if I was going to roster a physical catcher on FanDuel. You've got Melendez as two. Either one, you're probably going to play Melendez from a cash game perspective in either position. If I'm just rostering one, I would probably take Salvador Perez for only $400 more. But you're probably going to be mixing in Melendez either at that first base or somewhere in the outfield where he is eligible over there. Those are basically my catchers. First base, you've got Vinny P. He was my dude on DraftKings earlier in the day. He's my dude on FanDuel right now. He's $3,100. He's not priced enough. If you just needed to save a couple of bucks, you've got Prado sitting there. Probably more likely to roster him in the outfield than first base. But if you had to and you're scratching for every dollar, he's $2,900. I think he's a reasonable save option. Again, I am playing Framber, so I do have to save some money. I can't afford a Harper or a Freeman. Even if I wanted to, I still like Vinny P more than them, and he's cheaper. So that's my guy. My one sleeper is Nate Lowe. I did go ahead and bet that over in the Baltimore-Texas game just now, too. I like both offenses. I'm not really a fan of either pitcher here. It seems like TJ likes the offense in that game, too. I hit the over. One of my sleeper plays, Nate Lowe, lefties against Kramer, doing pretty good. That's someone I'm interested in for maybe a home run or just having a big fantasy day, too. So that's my rundown of the catcher / first base position. TJ, what are you looking at today?
If you want to go up top, I do like Harper, who you're able to play here at the first base position. But the kind of optimal play, I think, is definitely going to be Vinny P. I like Melendez, but I'd probably rather play him in the outfield. I agree. Nathaniel Lowe is a phenomenal tournament play today, but my number one tournament play is going to be Ryan Mountcastle.
Yeah, can absolutely. If you're taking it for the home run and he was a Spidey bomb earlier, no reason why he wouldn't be an excellent tournament play, and I would be behind that as well. Let's go over 8.5 in that game as well. All right, going to second base. FanDuel. On DraftKings earlier, I think I was saving, but on FanDuel, I mean, how do you not play Jose Altuve at 3,200? You can make that work pretty easily. If you needed a couple of bucks, you could probably play Luis Garcia against Singer. Any Washington bat against Singer is certainly in play for me today. But for TJ, from at least the cash game perspective, I'm gonna look through the couch cushions. I'm finding the $400 internet dollars to get Jose Altuve in my lineup against Pruitt, whoever else Oakland rolls out today. It's gonna be a hit parade.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I think you absolutely are undoubtedly going with Jose Altuve from a cash game standpoint. We talk about liking Texas, but the $4,400 price tag for Semien, I think that's a bit too much for me. I'd rather just look at a one-off of a guy like Mookie Betts, even if I'm not full stacking them today. Ramon Urias at 2,700. That's probably my favorite tournament play at this position in a Baltimore stack. Batting fifth today against Heaney. I think that's probably my favorite way to go in tournaments.
All right, going to third base. Again, it's very tough not to look at Alex Bregman. Not really having the greatest season, but he's 3K against Oakland. If there's ever a time Bregman's going to pop off for a big game, look at all the bats around him in that lineup. I'm expecting him to have a pretty nice game today. You can make a reasonable argument for Heimer Candelario over him, but TJ, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to play Alex Bregman. Any bat against Oakland. Heimer's been having a pretty good season. I played him yesterday. But at least on FanDuel on this slate, I think I'm going to be playing Bregman against Oakland from the cash game style.
Yeah, he's on my DraftKings team as a one-off just because he fit the lineup perfectly. But it's definitely Alex Bregman if you're choosing between the two. If you're looking for a tournament pivot off of that, like considering Candelario and Bregman are going to be very similarly owned, go to Austin Riley as a pivot at half the ownership, or Max Muncy as a little bit more expensive pivot at a quarter of the ownership. even Josh Jung, something like that. I like that way better than going to somebody like Candelario at over 20% ownership.
Yeah, if it's a one-off, right? I mean, you mentioned a lot. You can throw in Suarez too, always capable of a bomb against Velasquez. I mean, there's a lot to like here from swerving off the two. They're going to eat up 20. What do we got? The Bats got him at 41%. It might even be a little bit more than that in your average tournament. So being able to swerve off of that, if it's a one-off, generally you're going to want to be stacking. I think is certainly a reasonable expectation today. Shortstop. So on the early show, I had Seager over Witt on DraftKings because I think Seager was $100 less, or there was like $100 difference between the two. Today, if I'm playing one, I think on FanDuel, I'm going to play Bobby Witt. But my favorite is Pena at 2,900. He got up to the 2 spot. We were earlier projecting him at the 6 spot. With him hitting in the 2 spot, he's looking like he's my guy. Again, any Houston bet today, viable against Oakland. And with the price discounts, I just couldn't get to Bobby Witt Jr. He's not really having a great season against right-handed pitching anyway. I'm going to take Pena against Oakland at 2,900. But your pool should probably be Pena, Witt. I would absolutely love Seager, but 3,900 if you're playing Framber is a pretty tall task today. So those are the guys I'm looking at, TJ.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I think you can't go wrong with Witt or Trey Turner. Jeremy Pena is my favorite of that group. I think Corey Seager is a phenomenal tournament play, but that would basically be the extent of my pool.
Let's see here. Let's go outfield. Again, a reminder, we're going to take some questions. If you get 3 more likes, we'll have another Spidey bomb, and then we're going to talk the DraftKings late slate from probably, let's say, 3:45 to 4 o'clock, something like that, to make sure you're covered for that later. And for the people who watch on demand, they're going to be able to get it later too. All right, outfield, TJ, this is pretty simple to me. Insert Kyle Tucker on FanDuel. Kyle Tucker, 3,300 must play of the day. You've got MJ Melendez, 2,800. I'm on the Nats, but I think being able to take a couple of KC bats makes a little bit of sense. Is there something you wanted to say there?
Yeah, I want to bring up something quick because the people in chat are bringing up a pretty interesting point. On DraftKings, Ramon Urias for Baltimore is listed as out. He is not out. He is in the lineup. He's batting 5th. So that's an error on DraftKings standpoint, but he is in the lineup. I actually just switched my lineup right now to have him in there instead of Candelario because he's going to be virtually unknown because that is a total error on their part. And then for Spidey Bomb, because we just got 60. We just did get 60 likes. And so Spidey Bomb for the DraftKings evening slate is Josh Naylor. You can find Naylor for plus 600 to hit a home run on FanDuel. Just phenomenal odds for a guy like him going up against Flaherty today. That's my number one option.
All right, and you said our sponsor FanDuel was the best spot for me to get that, TJ. I'm blindly following in. I need the best odds, TJ. That's the best.
Well, so I just have the tab open on Scores and Odds that shows Caesars and FanDuel, and of the two, that it's FanDuel's the best.
All right, so we'll get him in at plus 600. I like that. I think Naylor is a reasonable play on the slate and DFS too, and the plus 600 seems pretty nice to me. I'll go ahead and lock that in. Following TJ in on our sponsor FanDuel, and if you aren't already on the FanDuel Sportsbook and you're in a sports betting state, why wouldn't you be on FanDuel? It's a must-have, and if you are new to FanDuel, you can get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets. Make sure to check the terms and conditions on that, but big thanks to our sponsor FanDuel for doing that for everybody. You got to take advantage whenever you get a new state. I know friends personally, I only use FanDuel, I only use DraftKings. They have one sportsbook. I'm like, there's like 10. You got to have all 10 to be able to get the best lines, get the best promotions. They're doing it more casually. Me and you, we tend to do things a little bit more professionally in an attempt to pay the bills, TJ. So you got to have access to all of them. So FanDuel.
I only have one that's legal where I live, so
that is true.
I just stick with the one.
Yeah, you have the one. I have the 10. I have all the prop sites. There's a couple other I'm in a pretty nice spot here in New York State, so I got no real complaints. All right, that outfield. So I said Tucker, Melendez. After that, if you have the money, Yordan Alvarez is the play of the day. on FanDuel. Tough to get if you're playing Framber along with playing some of the other guys I mentioned. So if you play Tucker, play Melendez. If you're looking to hit a one-off home run, you've got Kyle Schwarber at 3K. I think he's pretty interesting. If you wanted someone leading off, you've got Nick Pratto at 2,900. I think those are probably two of the other lineup fillers that you're looking at. If you want to go ultra cheap, TJ, I've entertained this. I've got a couple of minutes to decide. Corey Dickerson, probably not going to get 4 at bats, but he's sitting at 2K on FanDuel. And that just opens up your lineup to do a lot of things, hitting 5th against Singer. I'll go ahead and take that. Absolutely no problem today. Taking any Washington bat, I think they're all reasonably good spots today. After that explosive, well, I mean, anybody could have had a big game in that game yesterday with how many runs were scored. But to get Dickerson at 2K, if that opens up everything else for you on your lineup to make it work, I am absolutely okay with on FanDuel. What else are you looking at? You got any sleepers, right? We've talked Texas, Baltimore. If you play Garcia, you play a couple of those other guys, it tends to get expensive. You're probably not going to be able to play that stack with Framber today. So I don't know. What else are we doing?
So you absolutely could do like the Dickerson Alvarez route. There's nothing wrong with that at all, but that's a combined 6.5K between the two of those guys. And I look at that and I just kind of think I would so much rather have Tucker and Kyle Schwarber for even cheaper than that. And so I think those are probably like the kind of 4 main guys you're choosing from, though, in an optimal standpoint. Melendez is a strong play as well. Bryce Harper is fine, but I would just way rather play Schwarber for less ownership. And just that 3K Schwarber, like, if I was single entering, cashing, Schwarber and Tucker would most absolutely be in my lineup. And if I was MMEing, I'd probably have 30 to 40% of each of those guys. I like Jared Kelenic for tournaments. In terms of cheap guys, I do like the Dickerson call. I realize most of the guys that I've mentioned so far are pretty expensive. So in terms of cheap guys, I like the Dickerson call. Prado's fine. But I think I would rather just you don't need that cheap really. And so I would rather somebody like an Austin Hayes at a $2,800 or even those Houston guys who are lower in the lineup like McCormick and Julks.
All right, let's take a look at some questions. We'll get to those. We'll cover the DraftKings 7 o'clock slate in just a little bit too. So I'm going to go to Discord. Going to our MLB Crunch Time for our premium members. We'll answer those questions first. Do you have another Spidey bomb, TJ, you were looking at? What do we have to get to get one if you got one there?
Yeah, I got one more in the tank for the people if we can get up to 80 likes.
All right, so we'll get one more Spidey bomb. Can't wait to hear what that is. Let's see. We've got, I'm just trying to figure out here. No, we don't have that one. Michael Radish wants to know, Castillo and Jordan or Valdez and a one-off of Bryce Harper for a tournament today.
Sorry, go that one again. I'm still getting caught up in this Ramon Arias situation.
Yeah, I looked too. It looks like there's 2 lineups out there for Baltimore. So try to figure out which one's the official one. You might want to take a look at that. So it's Castillo at pitcher and Jordan. All right, that sounds great. Or Framber and Bryce Harper also sounds great in a tournament.
All right. I apologize. I tuned out again. The ADHD is killing me right now, but I'm looking at the Baltimore Orioles official Twitter page, and Arias is in fact in the lineup.
All right. So based on the Baltimore Orioles official Twitter, correct? He is in the lineup.
Yes. And I am no longer looking at chat at people telling me he's out because I keep getting distracted. Hit me with that question. I'm not losing it again.
All right. So Michael Radish wants to know. He's got 2 very good options for a tournament on FanDuel. Castillo and Jordan. Excellent. Framber, Bryce Harper.
Castillo and Jordan.
Man, I love Framber, but I think I would play Castillo and Jordan if that's was my tournament. My tournament life was on the line. That's probably what I would pick right now. Let's see here. Any Rays today, TJ, against Kershaw? I have a Rays money line bet. Tough to pick against Kershaw, but
Yeah, not for me. If I was running 150 lineups, a team as good as the Rays, I wouldn't be Xing out. Especially they got some nice lineup spots with guys like Betancourt up at 6, who hits lefties really well, all the way through the orders. So if I was running 150, I'd include them, but in anything less than that, like, you got pinch hit risks to worry about, and it's Clayton Kershaw, so I probably wouldn't go there.
Let me just see. I'm looking at YouTube now, so if you guys have any questions, please get them in there. We are 9 likes away from the final Spidey bomb of the day. Glass Now, Boss Bra wants to know, Glass Now or Burns for a tournament today?
Burns.
I would take Burns as well in that one. Let's see. Garcia for Washington, 2,800. So this is him, and I think Altuve are slated to eat up like all of the second base ownership today, if I'm correct. Maybe not as much as third base between Bregman and Candelario, but the bats got him over 30% combined. My original FanDuel cash team, I was looking at Garcia. I couldn't scrounge the extra $400, but then I found Corey Dickerson in the outfield, and I found some extra money to get Jose Altuve in. So I like Garcia.
To me, Garcia feels like bad chalk. Like, he's not a big power guy. He's a contact guy. I'd rather go Altuve if I'm going one of the chalky guys. And then, I mean, I do understand that
he went 6 for 6 last night.
Went
TJ.
literally nuclear last night. I know, but if he didn't, there's no way we'd be seeing this chalk from Luis Garcia. And so, to me, Luis Garcia is bad chalk. I would rather find the money to go to Altuve if I'm playing somebody chalky, or I would rather go to somebody like Mookie Betts, or even literally like take a one-off attempt if you're not playing Castillo at a 2.3 K Marcano.
Let's see, back to YouTube. Let's see, Glass Now.
But play Urias at 2,900 since everybody thinks he's out. Play it.
Urias is in according to Baltimore. Today. It's always risky when the lineup pages and the official lineup don't.
That's quite literally the best play today, because nobody's going to be playing him, and second base is terrible. So that's the best play at second base today.
Sorry about your Blue Jays. They're down 7-4 now. A home run was just launched against them. So the Blue Jays, the Twins, high scoring game. Wasn't expecting that game to be as high scoring as it is, but offense. Good pitchers can have bad outings at any given point in time. Let's see. Yeezy wants to know Castillo and Cal Raleigh or Caballero or Burnt. All right, Castillo, Raleigh, and Caballero.
It's the first one. It's Castillo, Raleigh, and Caballero over Burns, Semien, and Bailey.
Yes, I would agree with that for sure. Gray on FanDuel in a tournament. Anybody going to be playing him?
Not really, no. If I was running 150, I'd maybe keep him in the pool, but as one of those like 5%ers. But other than that, no.
All right, Jake wants to know. He's got a DraftKings question. We can take that. Burns, Mountcastle, and Pena, or Castillo, Abreu, and Corey Seager.
Definitely that first one.
Yeah, I would play the first one as well there. Not Jose Abreu. Not it. Even I could understand playing Jose Abreu against Oakland, but he is not it, I think, for the upside available today from some of the other bats out there. So let me check Discord. Don't see any more questions. Don't see any more really on YouTube. So TJ, I'm going to flip it over to the DraftKings main slate tonight because they have some big tournaments, and unfortunately, we're not going to have a show here on Roto Grinders at like 6:30. So we're going to try to cover that now for some of the people that watch on demand. And if you guys are watching now, you can get a head start on some of the lineup construction for that. As well as Spidey Bomb number 3 is 4 likes away. So if we can transition to that, I know I want Spidey Bomb number 3. Let's get 4 more likes. I have clicked already, so I cannot contribute to it. Tonight is pretty strange. If you look at the projections on the bat. So the bat has Ohtani at 23 fantasy points. The next pitcher who's gotten absolutely obliterated from the bat is Jameson Taillon, who has 14 fantasy points. Just a huge difference between Ohtani and Taillon. And then you're dealing with Taillon. Is he like what's happened in this past couple of starts? He's been absolutely clobbered. So you're probably going to play Ohtani. if you're looking for any source of guaranteed strikeouts tonight against Miami. The question after that, TJ, is do you roll the dice with a Tyon? Because everyone sort of has question marks. There's no elite pitcher in a great spot tonight. Everyone, is quite Verlander would be great, but he's in Coors. Are you going down to him and getting all the Coors bats, getting Alonso, getting the Mets, getting the best of the bats? Or are you going with someone else in the mid-tier and maybe sacrificing on a couple? Maybe you're not playing Pete Alonso. Maybe you're not playing some of the more expensive Coors bats today.
So from a cash perspective, optimal and even single entry, considering he's not going that much higher owned than all the other options, I think Tyon is absolutely the choice, just based on, I don't think he's going to be very good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just simply based on none of the options are very good, and he's the cheapest of all the not very good options. So from a tournament standpoint, if I'm making a pivot off of that, my favorite would be either Tanner Bibby or Justin Verlander. And then if I'm running 150 lineups, which I am, Jack Flaherty, Edward Cabrera also enter the pool as well for me. But it is Shohei Ohtani on 100% of lineups on any and all sites that he is available. And then the other guys, it's just going to be mixing and matching. But Tyon would be my favorite just because he's the cheapest of the bad options. And then Bibby and Verlander would be my next two.
All right. Producer Rob, I haven't heard the Spidey Bomb intro. So let's get that rolling here. We've got Spidey Bomb number 3. We hit 80 likes. Let's hope he's got it queued up. TJ, get ready.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thief.
I like Boston tonight, and I know Brent likes some very high odds to hit a home run. I'm so sad for the second straight night I can't play Rafael Devers. He's in a bunch of parlays that I had. I wrote him up in the expert survey as my favorite hitter for tournaments, and I have to redo that right after this show. But that doesn't mean we can't go to the person who is batting fourth for Boston today at plus 700 on Fanduel, and it is Masataka Yoshida, who is our second Spidey Bomb, and I just love those plus 700 odds.
Yeah, plus 700 sounds good to me. I got the Lane. I didn't write it up, but I did have the Lane Thomas home run yesterday at plus 800. So plus 700, it's a little degradation, but that's still plus 700 still plays, TJ. So I've followed you into that on our sponsor FanDuel. Let's get some of that. So with pitching tonight, I sort of agree with you. I'm on Ohtani, and then to basically play how I think of it is I'm not expecting any of the other pitchers. If I had to pick a pitcher that's going to have the best game, it would probably, I don't know, maybe like a Verlander Coors outing, right? But he's very expensive because he's an actually, very good pitcher, and even very good pitchers can pitch good in Coors sometimes. The other guy would probably be Cabrera. A little safeties, had some good strikeouts, righty against the Angels. There's some strikeouts there. But just for sheer price, to be able to afford all the bats that I actually want tonight, because there's a Coors game with a huge total, the Mets offense is starting to come alive a little bit. I'm on the Tyon train too to basically afford some of that, which means from an offensive perspective, let's talk about how to handle tournaments, because you've got the Mets. What is there? 5 games. The owner, this is some of the highest ownership I've seen all season. 32, 30, 27, 20. It's just down the board. The entire Mets offense, 1 through 9, is just going to be massively owned. Take your choice. Pick whoever you want. You've got expensive guys. You've got mid-tier guys. You've got dirt cheap guys. You've got Alvarez as a catcher, probably hitting towards the bottom of the order, but he's cheap and he's in Coors and has pop. Would you be overweight the Mets as a team, overweight specific players? What do you do on a 5-game Coors slate when they're just overwhelmingly owned?
I think I'm going to go even more overweight. Like, there's not many teams that I like on this slate. It's the Cubs, it's Cleveland, it's a little bit, it's Boston, and then it's mixing in some one-offs from Colorado, Arizona, and the Angels. And so playing 150 lineups, I think I'm just going to go absolutely bonkers on the Mets today. We're projecting Pete Alonso for 25% ownership. Well, I'm going to have 50. especially if I'm keeping a tight player pool and end up with a tight pitching pool and end up with like 100% Ohtani and 50% Tyon. Well, then I don't really care if the Mets are chalky and I'm playing 150 lineups. I'm just going to try and get all the possible Met stacks I can with that combination of pitchers. It's going to be chalky, but if I have literally all the combos, people say like you can't. It's so easy to win when you make 150 lineups because you can just make all the combos.
You can.
Well, no, you cannot make close to all the combos. And yes, you're more likely to get first place, but you are so much more likely to lose money MMEing than you are any other type of DFS. Having said that, if I'm going to just go like 100% at one pitcher and 50 to 70% of another, if I choose to get like every Mets combo that I can with those two pitchers, I'll be able to cover like that one base pretty damn well. And so I think that's going to be my strategy on this slate.
All right. Yeah. I mean, don't think I can fault you for going in on the Mets tonight against Anderson in cores. I mean, this is just a match made in heaven for basically anybody who's going to be in the batting order tonight. So I want to real quick, TJ, I want to flip back to the early slate. We did get a couple of questions. One in Discord. New Generation wants to know Castillo and Riley or Valdez and Caballero for Fanduel cash. I would probably play. Man, I'm on Framber. Castillo, Riley probably, but I'm on Framber. I would try to mix your lineup up a little bit to not have to play Caballero in cash on Fanduel.
I mean, I would probably do that one just based on, I mean, Caballero gets hits. Like, he's not great. He's not going to get a ton of points, but he's probably not going to bomb your lineup.
Yeah, I could see it for either one here, but I guess on that particular
I agree.
one,
Try and adjust somewhere else, though.
Yeah, not what you need. Maybe I would try to, if you're looking for salary savers, I'm playing Corey Dickerson on FanDuel at 2K to get an extra couple of bucks. I would probably do that if you're trying to play Framber on FanDuel. And then, all right, that's going to do it right now for those questions. If there are any more, we will jump back into it. But I want to get back into the night slate position by position. We'll do this basically as quick as we can, TJ. Then we'll let you get to the adoption. What is it? Is it like an event where you bring your dogs?
Yeah. So the Saskatoon Dog Rescue is just doing this barbecue at like a sports store kind of thing, and it's like, pardon me, and it's basically just like all the dogs that they have up available for adoption. They get brought there so that people can come see them, and then hopefully somebody fills out the forms to adopt them.
Sounds good. So catcher Alvarez, 3,100. Some pop. He'll be down in the bottom of the order. Doesn't matter. Highest projection. Price tag fits. That's your dude from the cash game perspective. Tournaments. You've got opposite him Diaz. You've got Contreras. I think I just filled out the tournament perspective from the 5-game slate, TJ.
Yeah, 100%. That's where I'm at too.
All right, first base. You've got Alonso, right? Alonso must play cash. If you need a cheaper player, you've got So what is this? What's the MLB the show pronunciation of this last name? Mark Vientos?
I don't think I've heard Vientos before on the game, but yeah, I do believe that's what it is.
All right, so that's what I'm going at based on the spelling. I haven't heard it either. He's cheap. You might need him at a different position. He's multi-positional eligibility between first and third, probably a little bit better at third, because if you pass on Pete Alonso tonight, you are a dummy. So those are the two guys I'm looking at. How do you mix it up? You've got your Josh Naylor was a Spidey bomb. That's probably where you're going from a tournament one-off and hoping Alonso doesn't go yard twice in course.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Alonso is going to be my highest owned guy, but Naylor is going to be the second. I like Tristan Casas quite a bit as well. But I would be surprised if close to 50% of my lineups aren't Pete Alonso.
Someone in Discord wanted to know the Spidey bombs again. What do you got so far today?
So Ryan Mountcastle, Corey Seager, Josh Naylor, and Masataka Yoshida.
All right, we've got all of those. Let's go to second base. A couple people to choose from. You've got McNeil, 3,600. He's a course bad. He's cheap. That's probably where you're going from the cash perspective. I'll leave it at that. You've got Kettle Marte if you're looking to spend a little bit of salary, but I think I'd still try to play McNeil straight up if you aren't already playing 5 Mets on DraftKings. Anything else, TJ?
Nope, that is basically going to be it. Like McNeil is the guy here. I really like Nolan Gorman as a tournament pivot. I'm not big on a full St. Louis stack today, but I do like Gorman as a one-off.
Let's see. Going to third base, you've got Vientos. If you couldn't get him at first base because you were playing Alonso, he slots in pretty good there. Devers not in the lineup, so you're not going to be able to play him. You can always just swerve to Jose Ramirez against Flaherty. You've got Brett Baty as well. I mean, I want to play literally like 7 Mets players and like a cash team. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to. So, like, real quick, process of elimination. Which are the Mets players left on the chopping block?
It'll depend on the lineup, but I would prioritize the ones probably outside of the outfield, just because it is always pretty easy to get a lot of strong.
I'm playing Alonso
players.
For sure in cash.
Yeah,
if
you're playing Alonso, you're playing Lindor.
I'm playing Alvarez at catcher for sure, even at the bottom
exactly.
of the lineup.
You're playing Alvarez. Lindor. So there's 3, and you're playing McNeil.
I want to play Nimmo.
One of Beatty or Vientos. I don't think you play Nimmo.
You don't think Nimmo? I love Nimmo. I don't know. I want to play them all.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is you do. That's the thing. You want to play them all. I think there are more good options at outfield than there are at other positions, and so maybe you drop McNeil if you have the salary to go elsewhere, just because he's probably the lowest ceiling guy of that group, but he's also 3,600. And so I think I personally would rather go elsewhere in the outfield and load up my infielders with Mets.
All right, let's go to shortstop. You've got Lindor from cash. He's the must play. Outside of that, where would you be looking?
Yeah, so outside of Lindor, I think like this is the type of slate where if you wanted to one-off somebody like a Birdie going up against Ohtani, if he's leading off, that'd be fine. Steal a couple bases there. But I do really like Dansby Swanson as well. And then Matt McClain is basically the only other guy that I'd be looking to go to in my lineups that don't have Ty on. But like those are the big 3 for me today, and I'm not very interested in going elsewhere.
All right, quick on the outfield. Marte 3,800, not really having a great season. I know the bat really likes him, but would you rather play him or Nimmo, or axe the Mets outfielders to play some of the other guys and then get maybe a Corbin Carroll, get Yoshida, get some of the Coors bats, a Chris Bryant, a Charlie Blackmon in there?
Yeah, that would be my preference, is going elsewhere outside of those geez, my brain is struggling today. Mets, outside of the Mets stack for outfielders. I like them better in the infield. And even if you got to go cheap, like you can go somebody like, we're expecting Pavin Smith to lead off against Garrett Whitlock. I love the idea of playing a Pavin Smith at $2,800 on DraftKings, as opposed to one of those cheap Mets. And then it allows you to go up. You got a Corbin Carroll would probably be the next one I mix in there as well. And then you go one of Blackmon or Yoshida or Trout if you can get up to him. If you can get up to Trout, that'd be ideal. And I like that a lot. And then using your Mets players in the infield, I like that a lot better.
All right. So real quick, that should wrap it up for the late slate. We've got to let TJ go. TJ, another question has come in from chat. Beaner wants to know the early slate. What pitcher is the best for a FanDuel tournament? I am on Valdez over Castillo. I wouldn't fault anybody for playing Castillo. I like Framber. He just went 7 strikeouts, complete game against the Astros. There's no reason he can't do that again. It was only 106 pitches. It's not a lot for him. So I'm on Framber. Who do you want if you got maybe one lineup on FanDuel today?
It'd be Framber or it would be Corbin Burns for me. And they're different enough in price that it would kind of depends on the stack that I'm targeting.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for today's show. Thanks for tuning in. If you watch both shows, double congratulations for sticking through over an hour and 20 minutes of me and TJ giving you Spidey bombs and Brits bets. Oh yeah, a couple of bets real quick to close it out. 4:00 I'm on Framber. 6 strikeouts. It's the same game parlay with the Astros -1.5. That should be around even money. And then on the late slate, I don't know if I had a time to get any bets in on this. If I do, I'll post it on Scores and Odds, so you'll have to be a subscriber there. But I don't think I have any bets in for the late slate currently. I had a pretty busy day outside of the shows. Oh.
Celtics over, Jaylen Brown over on the points tonight.
You want Brown?
Yeah,
He's been in trash all. I've been on Caleb Martin the entire series. I haven't written it up yet, but over 13.5. It's getting up there. It's been at 12.5.
you can get good odds on over 20.1 on Jaylen Brown. So spread Jaylen Brown, and we win all the money.
All right. Boston homerism is not to be found anywhere in Rob's prognosis of that game. That's going to do it for us. TJ, good luck with the dog. Hope everything goes well for him and you. And other than that, everyone have a good day. For TJ and Britt, thanks for watching, and we out you.